Dash and Lily communicate via notebook. So Midori, if you could leave a notebook with a secret message, where would you leave it, and what would be the secret you'd put in there?
If I could leave it anywhere, I think I would leave it like at the bottom of the ocean, but not deep, like kind of just where you can jump in. And no, no, stop. And stop. I would put it in a I would put it in a big bottle. And I'd be like, "Hey, what were you doing looking at the bottom of the ocean?"
I would leave it in space. I'd just go up there and I'd leave it there.
That's not realistic.
Whoa.
So our show is set around the holidays. Would you say that the holidays are, generally speaking, a romantic time for you? Or for people generally?
I think for people generally, no. I mean, I think it's a lot of different things. There's the blues, like the holiday blues, you know?
Holiday blues are real, yeah.
I mean, there is romance, but I don't think it's like just particularly that. I think there's a lot of emotions. There's so much family involved. I think there can be a lot of different emotions that come into play. Did the show weigh your feelings about the holidays being romantic?
So I already find the holidays to be extremely romantic. There were times when I think that was challenged because, you know, it's 4 a.m. and, you know, you're trying to get into the holiday spirit. But ultimately, it kind of felt like a battle. It was like me versus Christmas, and we both have to work together. And then in the end, Christmas won, and I was still excited about Christmas when it actually came. I think because there's something to me that's nice about having to be happy, like the sheer act of having to be like Merry Christmas or like Happy Holidays. Like it forces you to like treat the day a bit more special. And even the grumpiest of grumps kind of have to put on a smile. And so I appreciate that. And I find that super romantic. There's nothing like forced cheer, you know? I like it.
All right, so Dash and Lily, they communicate exclusively through the notebook. You know, they don't communicate through social media. You know, they don't know each other, so they're not able to look each other up and all that kind of stuff.
Right, they don't even know each other's names.
Yeah, so do you feel like there's positives to that or negatives or?
I think in a lot of ways, like our series is almost impossible to have these days in real time, and why it's magical, because it's like if you know someone's name, you could just do a quick search and kind of get their gist and make assumptions about them. So the fact that we remain anonymous to each other, that's super cool and rare.
I think these characters particularly seem to have, or at least Dash has problems like communicating. I don't know if you feel like he's going to get judged or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I think the like anonymity of not knowing who they're talking to seems to be kind of helpful. I feel like they can divulge more about themselves because they feel less judged.
One thing that I just want to say is Austin is not on social media, and I think that's super admirable and cool. So Austin, what do you think the benefits are about not being on social media?
There's no like numbers. There's no like you have this however many followers. So there's no.
That means that.
Being like, how many people do I have? Like, how popular am I? Well, how do you feel being on it? What are the positives you feel like of it?
I feel personally being like a woman and being a woman of color and being, well, we'll just stop it there. But I feel like there's something positive about the fact that I have control over my image. So the minute somebody wants to turn me into something or market me a particular way, like at the end of the day, I'm the final word in like what I put out into the universe. You know, so if I just don't want to make it about like being pretty, for example, I can put my poetry out there. Or if I want to, you know, speak out about something, I can. And so I definitely feel like that's a positive thing. And I do feel like in recent years, part of the reason why diversity has like increased or whatever, not to get super deep here, is because of social media, because it kind of like diversified all of the voices out there and like kind of gave people who didn't have power. So yeah, I wouldn't want to get rid of mine just because I feel safe. I'm like, okay, I know that no matter what goes down, I have my own say. Yeah. Do you feel that playing Dash for the months that you played him, do you feel like after we wrapped, anything that you did with Dash or anything Dash taught you kind of stuck around?
I do appreciate his willingness to change. There's parts of himself that he's not like crazy about, like because he's so lonely, and I think that's quite painful for him. I think ultimately he doesn't really like that, and he really starts to put himself out there. So I would say that's more so perhaps inspiring. Is there anything for you feel like you took away from Lily?
Yeah, I think that, oh God, I don't want to get emotional. I think that every time I play a character who, like, I have to go back to being 17 and remember what it feels like to feel insecure and like not confident in myself. I feel like at the time it's a bit triggering or like weird, but afterwards I come out a lot stronger as a person. And so for me, I think of all the girls watching this who maybe don't know it's okay to be themselves or be weird. And like after playing Lily, I definitely feel stronger in myself and like cool with myself. Thanks to Lily.